Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. Mitch Moss along with Jonathan Von Tobel in for Paulie Howard this week. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Big show lined up for you today. Plenty on the NBA with the playing games beginning tonight. Some adjusted numbers now with news that came out yesterday in this sport we'll get to. Fresh NFL draft props that we're going to discuss in 15 minutes. Good guests on the program, including Matt Youmans with his best bets for the NFL draft and the NBA playing games as well. And we do have, now this Lakers number tonight, JVT, against the Pelicans. It's around the money line, so it's really not that significant. But at DraftKings, for example, the Pelicans are a 1-point favorite at home tonight against the Lakers. If you look around at other spots, either in Las Vegas or national sports books, you can find a pick'em. And in fact, there is a Lakers -1.5 out there in this game.
Wow.
Anthony Davis questionable.
Yeah. So that's the real thing, and we see the market do this all the time, right? Which is, all right, if Anthony Davis, once he's ruled active, then you'll probably see that 1-point bump toward the Los Angeles Lakers, wherever it's at. Obviously, the spot that's already at 1.5, I don't think you're going to go to 2.5 because you'd be pretty off market there. But it's not going to be surprising. Where we're sitting is at pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if this closes pick, Lakers -1. And you can really get involved whenever you want pre-flop. One, either way, is not going to make the biggest difference in the world. But the more I've kind of dove into this matchup, the more I find it kind of hard not to come in and back the Lakers, assuming that Anthony Davis is going to play and assuming that the Lakers. I want to say yes because it's the play-in, and you don't want to play games with this injury report anymore. And if he's going to be healthy and available, he's going to be ready to go. And it would seem that the indications are that he is healthy and ready to go. So I'm going to kind of assume that you're going to get AD out there and that this is eventually going to close pick Lakers.
If I made Anthony Davis right now -$2 to play in this game tonight, would you bet the yes?
I would say yes.
You would bet $2?
I know we were talking and kind of laughing about the ability or the potential for the Lakers to try to thread the needle, right? Which is lose this game, then play the winner of the 9-10 matchup and try to get the Oklahoma City Thunder. The reality is that you don't want to put it up to a one-game elimination and that you want to come in and win this matchup. So I do think that you're going to put your best foot forward. I do think that Anthony Davis is going to play here, so I would say yes. I think it's a fair price at -200 he plays.
They just played on Sunday. Was never even a game. Lakers blew them out. Are we going to get a repeat of that? Where are you at with Brandon Ingram and his status overall?
Well, he doesn't. Here's the thing. So he misses a bunch of time. And then, of course, he comes back at the end of the year. Probably not that, I would say ready to go in terms of like the health and the continuity. But to me, that's not the biggest problem. So it's going over some of the things for this matchup. And obviously, the big thing that sticks out, Mitch, is what are you going to do defensively here? So the Lakers, in their 4 games that they played against the New Orleans Pelicans, they got an offense rating of 124.1. So every 100 possessions, they're scoring 124.1 points against the Pelicans. And the real big issue, and you saw in that last game, Jonas Valanciunas only played 7 minutes in that last game against the Lakers. By the way, I think it's points and rebounds. I got to double check. I was kind of half asleep when I was looking it up late last night. I think we're sitting at like 11.5. We don't know how long he's going to be out there. And the reason is he's kind of been a nightmare defensively for them. How about a couple of numbers here? Anthony Davis in the 4 games against Jonas Valanciunas, 22.7 assists, 9 of 14 from the floor. LeBron James, 18 points, 5 assists, 7 of 10 from the floor. That's with Jonas Valanciunas as the primary defender.
Okay.
You can't really do anything there. Zion Williamson has been having to defend LeBron James for certain possessions. Yeah, same thing with Rui Hachimura. Rui Hachimura is a perfect 7 of 7 in this series against Zion Williamson as a primary defender. LeBron's been to the free throw line 10 times as Zion Williamson as a primary defender. What adjustments are you making defensively that is going to change this thing for you if you're the New Orleans Pelicans?
Well, and we know that going in, right? Because, again, this year for the Lakers, the discrepancy in shooting free throws is heavily in their favor.
Yep.
And so if they're going to play their basketball game and it's going to be a typical Lakers refereed contest, they're probably going to outshoot the Pelicans by a significant amount at the stripe. And if they're hitting all those free throws, then they are going to win this game. And if AD plays, they are going to win this game. Do you think Valanciunas then is just, what's more likely to happen here? He's a total non-factor in the game, or he doesn't even play? And when I say that, I mean he's not going to get that many minutes.
Yeah, I think you start him still, and he's played in all of them, but they're minus 19 in the 4 games with him on the floor. It's just not good. So you start him, you try to do something with him. Obviously, you're in a little bit of a tight bind because Anthony Davis does like to play a little bit like elbow extended, and then, of course, can use his athleticism in those spots. It's not like a traditional post-up and use your size. And to me, you mentioned the biggest thing, which is the free throws. The New Orleans Pelicans are 10th in free throw rate. They make 20.2 free throws for every 100 shot attempts. It's the 10th best in the NBA. The Lakers, the underrated thing about what the Los Angeles Lakers do, it's not so much that they make as many free throws. They're second in both offensive and defensive free throw rate. So not only do they get a ton of free throws, they don't foul teams, or I guess we'll say they don't foul teams.
The referees don't blow the whistle right. against the Lakers as much as they do to every other team in the league, basically.
Correct. And so when you as a team are dependent on that, but you can't get there while the other team can consistently do it, it's absolutely nuts. And when you look too, how about this? This is the big thing, and it goes back to, again, like for me, that's why I keep going back to the Lakers, because these physical matchups are always still there. In these 4 games, Mitch, that they have played, 40.9% of the Lakers' attempts have come within 4 feet of the basket. They have shot 76% on those attempts.
No, that is bonkers.
They're just killing them inside. They're getting to the free throw line. And you don't know what you're going to do because you have good wing defenders. Like Herb Jones is awesome. Herb Jones gives up like 1 million pounds to LeBron James.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to throw
that's
him
no
there.
contest.
Right. So, like, this is why I like the playoffs so much, because you look at these matchups, you go, what are you going to do? How are you going to adjust? And for me, there's not much adjustment you're doing here in this series that's going to change what has been going wrong for you through the first 4 games.
What if we get absolute peak A-plus game out of Zion Williamson?
I mean, it could be.
And he goes for 35, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists.
Then I think you're looking to play this thing over, because I don't think there's a reality in which you're stopping the Lakers. Like LeBron again is matching up with Zion pretty frequently in this matchup. You're not feeling comfortable putting Zion pretty much anywhere else. You could put him in that role of kind of like a roving defender, but he's not like a Rudy Gobert or anybody else that's going to come over and tightly contest some shots. So maybe this thing goes over the total. But if that's what you're looking for, you're also looking, of course, if that's going to be the case, you're getting the free throw line a little bit more than you were in this series against the Lakers. But I think that's really the only change here, because I don't think there's a reality. Because here's the thing, like in the 4 games, if the Lakers are just bombing away from 3, then you're like, okay, cool, maybe in one off, you're going to be able to kind of get some good shooting regression. They're not going to hit those shots. But when you're giving up shots within 4 feet of the basket that regularly against this team, that's not changing when you get back to another game here, even if it's on your own floor.
Do people need to tread lightly betting this game live tonight? The thought is here, because it basically is a round to pick 'em, that you're going to potentially get a much better number than this on either side, because runs happen in the NBA. But what about if, let's say, either team gets out to a 15-point second quarter lead, or they're leading by double digits in the third quarter? Could the team that's losing at some point decide, you know what, we lose this one, we're going to punt on the rest of this game. We have one more. I'll sit my guys here, and you want to be careful with maybe watching what they're going to do with the rotations. Could that be in play?
I mean, I think it is, but I don't think it's in play until late in the fourth quarter.
Late in the fourth quarter.
Because, like, as we kind of discussed here, like if you're the Lakers and for whatever reason you find yourself in the fourth quarter with like 2.5 minutes left, 2 minutes left, and you're down by like 13 points. Do you give it like one more possession, and if you can't get that 3 or whatever it is, do you pull the plug? Because not only do you have one more shot at this, whoever's going to win the late game, there's also the added benefit of, if we win that game, we get the much more favorable matchup there in the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then, by the way, we get the winner of L.A. and Dallas, so that would be a fascinating matchup for them as well. So the path just becomes a little bit more easier. So I think that's kind of the worry. But I still think, like, first half, I wouldn't be shy about doing what you usually do in NBA games. Like you said, it's a 1-point spread. If the Pelicans go up 6-0, you're going to get a pretty good, solid number here. You
want like if that's your plan, you want like 16-5 out of the gates.
Yeah.
Timeout. Okay, what's the new line? I'm going to come and bet the Lakers at that point.
Yeah.
I would also flip it though and say the Pelicans. I mean, could the writing be on the wall early for this team? They just got blown out again against the Lakers on Sunday. Ingram has not. I mean, he was hurt for a while. Recently came back, and they could look at it as, well, we do have another home game here.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
that would be the team that would want to probably stay away from grabbing a big number if you're getting blown out.
I think so. And by the way, too, I mean, it's just the mental aspect of it, right? Which is, great, here we go again.
Oh, that's the thing.
If the Lakers go up like 16-5 immediately in this matchup, if you're the Pelicans, where are you at mentally?
Well, even if it's like 62-43 at halftime or something where it's totally lopsided, What are you going to get in the second half?
Man, I remember I was there. I was so excited to watch this in-season tournament game between them and the Lakers. Left after the second quarter. It was like, this is there's no need to be here.
Yeah.
They were getting run off the floor. And again, you see that, big matchup. Obviously, everything on the line for the Pelicans. You got to get out of the play-in. You get ramped up and ready to go. I mean, they essentially played this game. That was a playoff game for both those teams at the end of the regular season.
Yep.
And that's what transpired.
Yep.
It was an absolute slaughter.
I will point out that the public, they are 6-10 ATS playing the playing games.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight, the Lakers at DraftKings, 68% of the handle, 74% of the bets. And in the late game, the Warriors now bumped up to 3 at some spots. They're getting 92% of the handle at DraftKings, 77% of the bets.
Wow. I mean, look, you mentioned it, though, 6-10. There's 6 covers in there. They're right sometimes, right? So I just, when there's so many mismatches that go in favor of one side, and it's not reliant on shooting from distance, things like that, I find it hard to, obviously the looming thing is whether Anthony Davis is going to play. But if you give me both of them, I find it hard to really come off of the side of the Lakers here.
Side note, there's also a massive game tonight in the NHL for Atlantic Division futures. Because the Bruins lost last night, it's up for grabs. It's either the Bruins or the Panthers to win it tonight. The Bruins win the Atlantic one of 3 different ways. If they beat Ottawa tonight, Florida has to lose against Toronto in regulation, or Boston and Florida both lose their games in overtime, then Boston will win. If it comes down to a tie, Florida owns the tiebreaker tonight. So, and Florida was a massive number to win this division earlier on in the season. Craziness. NFL draft up next. Circa released all their props yesterday. It was crazy with the 4.5 quarterbacks.
Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard are here to make you a friend of ours.
That would mean you were made guy.
Investigating what is and isn't legit.
That's a fugazi. All right? That's a fugazi. I looked at it for 2 seconds.
Seeing through the lines to make you a better.
I know you know. And I know you know I know you know.
The FTM Army is being sent for.
In our thing, you get sent for, you go in alive, you come out dead. And it's your best friend that does.
These 2 wise guys would never steer you wrong.
Forget about it.
This is Real or Fugazi on Follow the Money.
Yeah, Mitch Moss, along with Jonathan Von Tobel here. He's in this week for Paulie Howard. You were born when? What year?
1990.
Donnie Brasco was made in 1997.
Oh, okay, I can watch it. Okay.
So you've never heard of it, is my guess?
No shot. Nothing. Donnie Brasco?
In my opinion, the most underrated mob movie of all time. It's never talked about when people get into that conversation of best mafia movies. On X, let JVT know how badly he needs to watch this movie. He's at MeJVT.
I'm down to watch it.
Johnny Depp is incredible. Pacino's fantastic. That's Fugazi. Forget about all of that. So that's where that movie is. I don't know. Somehow it's. I've watched it probably 10 times, and every single. It's based on a true story.
For our audience too, I'm very anti-watching movies that came out before the year I was born. So production value is just garbage.
You have to appreciate it for what it was like back then.
Terrible.
Okay, all right. If under 4.5 quarterbacks in the first round is a losing bet, it's because of Michael Penix and not Bo Nix. Is that real or Fugazi?
That's real. It's not. I don't think Nix is the better quarterback. Penix is the better quarterback. And if I were to lose under 4.5 quarterbacks, I would prefer that it is Michael Penix who sneaks into the first round.
Are you almost saying that you're okay with it? Losing to Michael Penix.
Yes. If I lose because Bo Nix went in the first round and not Michael Penix, no shot.
How about this idea? So you bet the under at a nice plus price. Are you thinking about maybe getting off of that a little bit by adding Penix to go in the first round as kind of a safety net? Because they're both plus money, and you're not going to get. I mean, you can't win both bets, obviously, but
I could. I'm also very greedy and think that I'm right. And so I might just roll with this thing.
Hedging discussion coming up in about 12 minutes, by the way. Judging a college quarterback's level of success in the NFL is not an easy way to make a living. Is that real or Fugazi?
Oh, that's real. I mean, you look at it. So Bucky Brooks had an awesome tweet about like a month ago of I think it's like the last 3 seasons, but of like the last 19 quarterbacks drafted, only 2 are expected to start week 1 this coming season. Like that's how hard this is in terms of evaluating some of these quarterbacks and developing.
Yeah, I actually lean towards being negative about their futures.
100%.
Just because I've been around now and watched this thing for so long. In fact, I retweeted a video yesterday. It was Cold Takes. What is it called?
Freezing Cold Takes.
Freezing Cold Takes
Yeah.
on X. They did a compilation of some of the NFL draft. What was basically a montage of hot takes and opinions on ESPN and other networks over the years, and how just severely wrong they were on these quarterbacks. But, I mean, some guys are going to be really good. Other guys are not. I would actually say that the miss percentage is much higher on these guys than the hit percentage. And I don't, like, coming out, I used to have a strong opinion on all these guys one way or the other. Now, if I have a strong opinion, it's going to be on a guy can't play. Not that a guy's going to be unbelievable, because I've seen it happen too often, where these can't miss prospects are rarely ever can't miss.
Yeah.
You know, how many guys lived up to the hype?
It happens all of the time with every single one of these guys. And that's why I do think, too, we're starting to see this shift a little bit where it's like, I don't need to spend that first-round pick and try to capture this if I don't have the first overall selection.
Right.
Let me try to go. We'll have a second round. Let me try to go and grab these guys a little bit later. And if they develop, they develop. But if they don't, I at least drafted a stud edge rusher or an offensive lineman or a guy who's going to be there past his first contract that will help me out here.
And it's much, much easier to move on from a third, fourth, fifth round pick at quarterback
Yeah.
than it is if you take him number 1 overall, top 5, top 10, wherever that might be in the first round.
And it goes back to, so I know a lot of people like the whole thought of, hey, extra year of control. It's hard to leave your team regardless. If you're a guy who's a quarterback who's going to be a signal caller, that's the franchise guy, you're going to get your contract regardless of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They can slap a franchise tag, whatever it is. So I don't think that's that attractive of a caveat for the first round. If I get a guy, I'm going to sign him. I'm going to give him his money. It doesn't matter.
Right. Like, would I be stunned if Caleb Williams is a flop? Yeah, I will be surprised. But is he, expected to go in there and play like Andrew Luck did when he was a prospect that was going to be can't miss, or a Peyton Manning? Those are pretty lofty expectations and a very high level for him to reach.
Yep.
And on the flip side, will I be surprised if Daniels, May, McCarthy, and don't work out? Not at all. In fact, I would expect it and lean that way, that they're not going to be able to translate to the NFL level. Again, because so many guys have come out with, look at what they did in college. They were unbelievable at that level. Power 5 conference, did it for 3 years, and then all of this stuff. J.J. McCarthy might turn out to be a really good pro. I'm convinced that people who are in his quarter and fighting that fight, screaming and yelling from the mountaintop, say he's got to go number 2 overall, or he's the best quarterback in this class, they want to be I told you so guy more than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I've been there since the beginning. I knew. I told you. I always feel like, too, when part of your sell is, hey, he was really good in high school. It's a little
Great.
trouble, right?
Terrific.
It's like one of those, like, how is he as a player? It's like, he's a really nice guy.
Yep.
Like, well, that's
Like-
not what I'm asking.
They're trying to extrapolate small moments in time from McCarthy as the quarterback in a run-heavy offense in a situation, maybe even against bad teams in the Big Ten. Look at this play on 3rd down and 11 where McCarthy noticed the heat coming and he scrambled out and he made this throw. That's great. It happened a handful of times in the college level. Does that mean he's going to be a franchise quarterback for 10 years in the NFL?
Not necessarily. By
Big
the way,
leap, in my opinion.
I also watched him almost give away the game against Maryland.
No kidding. Yeah. It's a major disappointment if the Boston Celtics do not win the Eastern Conference, real or fugazi.
Oh, real. Their win total or their loss total should be 3.5. And again, this is specifically Eastern Conference. This thing is setting up for them so nicely. Giannis is injured. They could get eliminated by the Indiana Pacers. Sure, maybe you get, I think, the heavyweight matchup. If the 76ers lose this game, win the 8th seed, Joel Embiid could go nuts. But the way this thing is setting up for them, it is, dude, ass or get off the pot. Like, this is the time. You better not mess around. The fact that you were down 3-0 last year to Miami Heat was unacceptable because you saw what happened to them in the finals. You need to get this done now this year. You're better. You have Drew Holiday. You have Kristaps Porzingis. The Eastern Conference around you, low-key kind of stinks. This thing, you better make this thing out. Absolutely.
On paper, numbers-wise, they are the 2017 Warriors.
Yes.
And it has to show out on the court this year. And if it doesn't, if they do not come out of the Eastern Conference, what does that mean for Missoula moving forward? And then what? They're going to sign Jason Tatum and give him more than $300. They're going to have $600 million tied into Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Just gave Drew Holiday a contract.
They got tons of money.
Yep. No, I agree. Like this would be a massive disappointment if they don't make this thing out.
Oh, it's beyond upset.
Yes. Like no, and they can, but that's part of the problem. And I wrote about this in the NBA Primer, which by the way, check it out at VSiN.com. One of the big things for them is the last 2 years. You in the postseason, you have had an extremely negative net rating in clutch time. You have not been able to operate in the postseason in these games that are within 5 points.
Yeah.
That's got to change. You've got to stop just taking the gun and just boom, just shooting yourself in the foot over and over and over again. Those things can't happen. With the improvements, it shouldn't. But that's kind of why this has also been so disappointing. It's not like they've run into these buzzsaws like these great teams.
No,
they've run into themselves. That cannot happen anymore.
They go into hero ball.
Yep.
In clutch time. It's the exact opposite of what makes the team brilliant on offense.
Yep.
I got to get a Fugazi in here at some point. Maybe this will be the one. People bashing OKC, and by the way, there was plenty of it yesterday and on Sunday night. Clearly did not watch them play this year. Real or Fugazi?
Clearly did not play. So my answer, if I were to say Fugazi, what I'm saying that those people bashing them are right?
Yes.
So no, so that's real then.
That's real? I can't get a Fugazi? Okay, all right.
Well, right? I mean, that means you don't want. Who was bashing?
Yeah. Oh, it was up and down. Oh, it was everywhere.
They got no shot?
I'm listening to national radio yesterday outside of VSiN. I'm watching stuff on TV. It's just like people are going to be so disappointed in OKC.
Yeah. I mean, this goes to the point where this is about the time where a lot of people just kind of check in, swoop in.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right? But no, if you didn't watch, they were incredible. No. I got what you got. I'll get you a Fugazi at some point. What are we doing?
I got one more dialed up for you. The Suns and Kings passing on Luka in the 2018 NBA draft, followed by the Hawks trading him for Trae Young. Isn't quite Portland taking Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan, but it's pretty damn close.
No, Fugazi, it's worse.
It's worse?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Look at that. Dude, you had your hands on him. He was there.
You had him. And by the way, Sam Bowie was thought of as, he was hurt because of the injuries obviously derailed him.
Dude, the Suns had his coach.
Also, I will say Bobby Knight, though, in 1984 called Michael Jordan the best player in the world. Yeah. And he was in college. Maybe they should listen to the general.
Suns hired his coach and then went and drafted.
Yes, that's a disaster.
Then drafted DeAndre Ayton.
All right, it's something we're asked about all the time. It's something we've discussed quite often on the show. I think you need to pick a street. You either do it all the time or basically never. That's coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. Mitch Moss, along with Jonathan Von Tobel, who is in for Paulie Howard this week. And as always, we are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. JVT, we get the 2 play-in games tonight, 2 more tomorrow, and then game 1 starting this weekend. And Raheem Palmer joins the program now. He loves the NBA. He loves to fire. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. He's with TheRinger.com, the 100, part of 100 plays in the NBA playoffs at the website as well, and the Ringer Gambling Podcast as well. Raheem, great to talk to you, man. How are you?
It was great to speak to you as well. I'm very excited right now. Got the NBA playoffs coming up, so the best time of the year right now.
Do you have a bet on the first play-in game tonight, which is the Lakers on the road against the Pelicans? Of course, the Lakers went to New Orleans on Sunday, blew their doors off, and now this number has been it's around the money line, so it's not the biggest of deals, obviously, but some spots posting Pelicans still -1. Others earlier this morning had the Lakers -1.5. What are your thoughts on this game tonight?
So this game is very interesting because a lot of times you see those 2-game series during the course of the regular season that started since the COVID season. And you have teams playing back-to-back in the same venue. And a lot of times you see an over-adjustment to the spread based on what happened in the first game. So you had the first game where you had the Pelicans -3, and the Lakers blew them out. And now you had the Lakers getting bet up to a favorite. And now you're seeing sharp money start to take the Pelicans because they're saying, how can that line be 3 in the same venue between the same teams and the same players, and then come back and then the line be Lakers -1. So now you're seeing the sharp money on the Pelicans. And look, there's a little precedent for this. I don't know if you guys remember in 2021, the Golden State Warriors, they played the Memphis Grizzlies on a Sunday. Steph Curry, you look it up on YouTube, Steph Curry hit that big three and he did the Baron Davis celebration. They played 2 days later, and the Memphis Grizzlies knocked out the Golden State Warriors out of the playoffs. So I think a lot of sharps are thinking that. But when I look at the matchup between these two teams, I think it's just a bad matchup for the Pelicans. I mean, LeBron James has absolutely dominated this team this year. 28.3 points per game, 60% from three, 55% from the field, 12 assists per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 1.5 steals. And if you look at the 4 games in which the Pelicans have played the Lakers this year, they've had half-court offensive ratings of 74, 98, 115, and 92. And the only game that they won was the game where they made 18 threes. So I might find myself on the Lakers tonight.
What do you make of the questionable tag for Anthony Davis, and where does this number snap back to once he's active, Raheem? Because we see it all the time in the regular season, right? Guys questionable, line moves maybe a point, half point one direction, then snaps back when he's in. What's the expectation for Davis today, you think, and where the line goes when he's active?
Well, you see the sharper books are sitting at 2 and minus 1.5. I think you'll probably get back to closer to a pick'em. So this probably closes either a pick'em or -1. But pick'em is probably, you'll probably see the sharper books at -1. And then I think you'll see every other book at close to a pick'em.
Oh, you know what, guys, as we're talking about this, Circa has Pelicans -2 right now against the Lakers.
Yeah, Circa, Superbook.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I didn't know if I was allowed to say Circa on the air. I know you guys are owned by DraftKings.
We're all good. We're broadcasting live right now from the spot. What about the other game that we have tonight? Now, money's been coming in, and the Warriors pretty much the entire time. They're up to 2.5 at most spots. I do see a 3 here in Las Vegas. That's at Station Casinos. But again, here at Circa, they're down to 2. Do you have a bet on this game, Raheem?
I don't have a bet on this game, but I think the thing that stands out to me is I think you're going to see the public all over the Warriors, and I think you're going to see sharp money on the Kings. I just think this game is very interesting because obviously, you look at the Kings, they're out Malik Monk, they're out Kevin Huerter, but I think with Keon Ellis and Davion Mitchell, I think the defense gets a little better. You're looking at two teams who have really been locking down defensively over the last couple of weeks. And since the All-Star break, I think the Kings are top 10 in defensive rating. Last 2 weeks, Warriors are 10th in defensive rating, Kings are 9th. But the wild card in this matchup, and I think one of the reasons to play the Warriors, is that Domantas Sabonis, he's such a big part of this Kings team. Well, he's really struggled against the Warriors. He was -49 against the Warriors in the postseason. He was -84 against the Warriors during his career and -8 against the Warriors this season. He's only going to play more minutes. And I think he's averaging 15.9 points per game against Draymond Green for his career. So I can understand why the public is all over the Warriors, but I think at this current price, you're looking at -3s in the market. I think that's a little too steep. So I think you're going to see sharp money just grab the number on the Kings. But I think this is an under. I noticed opened up at 227. I think it's 224. It's probably a little bit too high, especially when you consider that Monk and Huerter are out.
Raheem, regular season matchups are obviously a little bit different. These teams obviously played 4 times with each other, but the big difference is Trayce Jackson-Davis only played 5 total minutes in the 4 games. He's now starting matchups. He's been a big part of one of their betting starting lineups. So how do you make what is the difference now with Trayce Jackson-Davis along with Draymond Green in this front court? How much of a difference does he make, and how do you take away anything from a regular season when there's such a big change with the Warriors starting lineup?
Yeah, I don't think you can take much from it either. And I think if you're using full season metrics, it's kind of a mistake just based on how the Warriors have played this season. I think the only thing that you can really take from it, is just how well Draymond Green has played against Sabonis and how much Sabonis has really struggled against this Warriors team. So I definitely think that makes a huge impact.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Raheem Palmer, our guest on the Progressive Guest Line. TheRinger.com is the website. He also is going to do the 100 again this year at The Ringer, where he's going to give out 100 bets during the NBA playoffs and the Ringer Gambling Podcast as well. How about the games that we have tomorrow night? JVT mentioned earlier he's probably going to take the Hawks again because he's like me. I was snake bitten with the Hawks this year. Betting on them, they would lose. Betting against them, they would beat me. They're getting 3 against the Bulls tomorrow night. Initial thoughts on this game, Raheem?
So I'm going to take the Hawks, and I'm waiting for the public to bet this up, and I'm hoping it goes up. A lot of people are all on the Bulls. I haven't spoken to one person who said they like the Bulls in this matchup. And for me, if you look at the Bulls this year, they played 44 clutch games, and we all know how the NBA.com defines clutch games. It's games where the game is in the last 5 minutes of the game where the point differential is 5 or less. They're 27-17 against the clutch with a net rating of 23.5. But we know there's a lot of variance to that. But if you look at all the clutch games that they played, they're basically telling you that this is going to be a 1 or 2 possession game because that's all they played all this year. Now, when you look at the Hawks, they've been lighting teams up from 3 lately. I know they haven't been good against the spread all year, but the Bulls are second in opponent three-point shooting percentage since the All-Star break, allowing almost 38% from 3 and 29th in opponent three-point shooting frequency. The Hawks are top 10 in both of those categories since the All-Star break. You shoot 37% from 3. So I think they should be able to light up this Bulls team from behind the arc. And I think you got Trae Young back. I just think this is a game where I think the Hawks can hit more shots. And look, they played on April 1st. This was one of my first picks for the 100. Hawks won 113-101 on the road, and they were 18 of 38 from behind the arc. And then let's look at some trends. The Bulls are 18 and 23 against the spread at home. They're just 10-14-1 as a home favorite this year, just 41%. And they failed to cover 3 straight at home and 6 out of their last 7 at home. So that tells me that the Bulls they're just being overvalued in this spot because people are looking at the full season metrics on the Hawks. Before the All-Star break, Hawks had a net rating of minus 8.7. Post All-Star break, Hawks have a net rating of minus 1.4. So these are 2 equally matched teams, but the Hawks are the better three-point shooting team, and we know this game's going to come down to the clutch. So I'm taking the Hawks here with the +3, and I'm hoping I can get a better number.
Yep, I would agree with all those points. All right, let's go to your neck of the woods then. Miami taking on Philadelphia, Raheem. 4.5, the predominant number. Totals from 206.5 up to 208, so you can get whatever number you want here for the total. I believe in your 76ers, I think, here in the spot against Miami. What say you?
I believe in the Philadelphia 76ers as well. I mean, you're talking about a team that was 16-27 without Joel Embiid, net rating of minus 3.7. With Joel Embiid, 31-8, net rating of 10.5. So, I mean, with the 2 games in which Joel Embiid has played against this Miami Heat team, they've absolutely dominated. And I look at Tyrese Maxey. He's averaged 27.3 points per game against the Heat this year, and he had a game in which he had just 12 points. So for me, I'm looking at Tyrese Maxey over 23.5 points. Now, I think that line is short. If the Sixers are going to win this game, it's going to be because of Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. I think the Sixers get it done with the 4.5, but I really like that Maxey prop.
Raheem, we have about 2 minutes left in this segment. Assuming you're correct, they win this game, they're the 7th seed against the Knicks. What would you make a series price on that? And would you like the Sixers' chances to win it outright?
I would probably make it around, and this one's tough for me because I can't really model the Sixers this year with, all of the absences of Joel Embiid. But it'd probably be around Knicks minus 140, minus 150 or something like that. It's just really tough for me to come up with a line right now.
Okay. Would you think over 7 games, though, and even the season that Brunson had, I think that he deserves some MVP consideration. Not that he had to win, but he should be in the mix. Is Embiid the best player on that court for a 7-game series, even though the full health is maybe still a little bit up in the air?
I think Brunson is the best player at this point in time, just because at least when it comes to Joel Embiid, you just don't know. I mean, over a course of a 7-game series, we've seen him in the postseason struggle. And now,
sure.
He's coming in off of a meniscus injury. It's just really tough. I just think Jalen Brunson, he should be first team All-NBA, but we know it's probably not going to happen.
Yep. All right, hang tight. We're going to kick around some more NBA numbers with you next. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Raheem Palmer, our guest from TheRinger.com, and he is doing something called the 100 again at the website. 100 NBA bets over the span of the playoffs. We'll get into the round 1 series prices that we have. If he didn't bet the Pelicans at this point, actually that number is way, way gone now. Would he actually think there might be some value on the Bucks now that it's come down where it is and they're laying around minus 170? We'll get his thoughts on that and the Mavs-Clippers series next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
VSiN.com, folks. Check it out now. We've got all of the insight getting you ready for the NBA play-in and playoffs with the series set. Our NBA postseason primer up right now. You can check it out at VSiN.com, as well as the articles in every single sport every single day. Adam Burke with the Major League Baseball best bets and more. VSiN.com.
We continue with gambler Raheem Palmer. He is with TheRinger.com, and he's doing something called the 100 on the website. 100 bets on the NBA playoffs over the course of the entire thing. He joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. So, Raheem, did you grab a little bit of Pacers series price against the Bucks before the Giannis news, anticipating that he might not be ready for Game 1? And if you didn't, with the current change in that number, do you actually think there might be some value on the Bucks as low as it got?
I do think there's some value on the Bucks at this current number. I'm seeing like minus 154 on the Bucks, but I think the biggest thing for me is that I do want to wait to find out this Giannis Antetokounmpo news because, you know, he has the same injury Kevin Durant had in 2019, calf injury, it was a calf strain, I believe, and Kevin Durant missed 3 weeks, and when he came back, he tore his Achilles. I actually tore my calf back in 2022, and I'm not like a high-level athlete, but it had me down for quite a while. So I think the biggest thing with the NBA these days is that these teams like to, they like to be secretive and have you game plan for multiple options. So there's a scenario where, Indiana Pacers can go in there and beat the Bucks in Game 1, and then you're in a tough spot. So I don't want to really grab anything right now.
Okay, fair enough. Is there a scenario here, and I've seen this kicked around, maybe you believe in this, where Giannis has turned into kind of a ball stopper on offense, and with him out potentially here, this could be Damian Lillard that we had in Portland for so many years?
See, I want to believe it, but based on how Damian Lillard has played this year, I'm having trouble believing that. Like, this Dame does not look like the same guy at all. I mean, like, you look at that game against the Magic, this guy was 2 for 14 for 16 points, and that game meant something. So, like, I just don't know how you trust this team right now. And it's just, since the All-Star break, this team has just, been absolutely abysmal. You're talking about a team who lost to the Wizards. They lost to the Raptors. They lost to the Grizzlies, all at home in a row as double-digit favorites. So, like, as much as there's value from a numbers perspective, you got to show me something. They're 14-12 since the All-Star break, net rating of plus 1.5. So while there's value from just a numbers perspective, like, show me something first.
So, Raheem, one of the things that I keep pointing out here with this series is the changes for both teams, right? Since they last met, Pascal Siakam's now an Indiana Pacer. Your favorite head coach, Doc Rivers, is now in charge of the Milwaukee Bucks. What do these changes mean? Because if you look at some of the numbers for Indiana post-Siakam trade, they're slower. They don't run in transition as much. They're not as effective in transition off of live rebounds. And frankly, since Tyrese Halliburton's come back from injury, Raheem, he has not been the same in any way, shape, or form, especially with his efficiency numbers. Are we still going to get the same team that would have exploited this Bucks team in transition the way they did in those early games before January?
I don't think we are. And I think that's where the Sharps, you're going to see Sharps with that argument for the Bucks here, because we all know playoff basketball is an entirely different game than a regular season. And it's tough to imagine that a lot of what Indiana did in the regular season is going to translate into the postseason. And you got to remember, they don't have Hill. They don't have Mathurin. Mathurin's out for the season. They traded Hill. So the shooting is not going to be the same. And then Halliburton hasn't looked like the same guy. So while they do have Siakam, it's just tough to imagine that they're going to be able to exploit this Bucks team in the same way. So I'm still like sitting back and waiting. I think if you grab the Pacers with the earlier number, you're in a really good spot. But at this point in time, it's either Bucks or pass. And me personally, based on what I've seen recently, I'm going to pass.
You're going to pass. Okay, which series price sticks out the most to you that's currently available on the betting board?
I think it is. The Mavericks have already gotten bet up. I like the Mavericks, but I'm starting to like this Orlando Magic team. And look, my model likes the Magic. And I look at this Cavs team. We all know that they tank down the stretch to get the Cavaliers. I know the Magic can't score, but they're a top 10 defense. And you look at the Cavs versus top 10 defenses this year, 9-15, 25th in spread differential, minus 3.4. And since the All-Star break, you're talking about a team who is just 12-17 since the All-Star break. Net rating of minus 3.6, 22nd amongst NBA teams. They're 20th in offensive rating and 25th in defensive rating. So Donovan Mitchell, look, if you look, and this is the craziest stat. I always laugh at it every year. But if you look at like the top 10 scorers in points per game in the postseason, Donovan Mitchell is like 6th or 7th. But Donovan Mitchell is not that same guy right now. Like, he looks like, I mean, the worst kept secret in the league is that he's on his way out, but also he's been dealing with a knee injury. He's played 7 games since the All-Star break. So I don't think he's that same guy. And I think if he's not that same guy, with how this Cavs team has struggled against top 10 defenses, I think the Magic might be able to sneak this out just based on their defense. And then imagine, Donovan Mitchell on a bum knee has to deal with Suggs. This is one of the best perimeter defensive players in the league. So I'm definitely taking the Magic plus 4.5 for game 1. And I kind of want to sprinkle something on them to get in the series done, because we all know the basketball gods, they don't reward whatever the Cavs did the other day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and we've seen the Clippers get burned by that too. So let's go there. Why in the world would you bet against future NBA Finals champion Los Angeles Clippers in the first round, Raheem?
I mean, the Clippers, look, outside of that run, this Clippers team they've kind of looked like a mess. And you look since the All-Star break, this Clippers team has not been the same. They're 15-14, net rating of minus 0.5 point. I just think the Mavericks are rolling right now. We know with that new start lineup, they've had one of the best defenses in the league. And are we sure Kawhi Leonard is healthy? They're very secretive about it. And it's just like, it wouldn't surprise me if Kawhi Leonard missed game 1. And I think you're kind of getting a bargain on the Dallas Mavericks, who've been playing lights out. Now, I think the counter argument against the Dallas Mavericks is that they haven't really beaten too many teams above 500. They're just 25-27 against teams above 500. But the way the Clippers are playing, they're playing like a 500 team. So I think Luka, look, what do they say in The Godfather? Luka Brasi sleeps with the fishes. He's been sleeping with the fishes the last 2 times he played the Clippers. I don't think he sleeps with the fishes this year. I think the Mavericks get it done. So even at minus 120, I'm seeing value on the Mavericks.
Raheem, who comes out of the West?
It's very hard to say anybody but Denver. But if it's not Denver, it's going to be the Mavericks. It's actually going to be the winner of this Mavericks Clippers series.
Oh,
if it's not Denver.
That's good.
Okay.
We'll accept that.
What do you think of OKC overall?
I love OKC, but I think they're going to struggle inside, and I think that's the scary thing. Like, I think if this was the league like 3-4 years ago when the Warriors were making a run where everybody was going small, that would be great. But now you got to have some size to you. I don't think you're going to be able to deal with. Let's just say that they played the Lakers, or they played Minnesota, or they played Denver. I just think, and we just haven't seen young teams perform like this in the postseason. So I can't buy in on them, but it wouldn't surprise me if they made a deep run to the Western Conference Finals. But at some point, I don't think they have the experience.
All right, Raheem, last 2 minutes with you here. I've kind of figured we saw this coming. I was actually hoping Phoenix would get Oklahoma City in the first round so I could bet against them. Figured the market would very much be all over the Suns. They're now favorites in this series against Minnesota. Do you trust the Suns?
Ooh, this is a tough series. This is a very tough series for me, just because all the models say take Minnesota. But we know that this is a pretty bad matchup for them. And if you look at the Wolves in the clutch, they can't score in the clutch. And I trust Bradley Beal. I trust Devin Booker, Kevin Durant in the clutch to hit their shots. I think this is a series where you just play on the zigzag theory. I think whoever wins game 1, you take them game 2. I think this is probably going to be a 2-2 series in a long series. So I'm going to be looking to play like series-long props. I think Rudy Gobert is going to have a monster series. There's going to be series. There's going to be games where he's going to have double-digit points and double-digit rebounds and just going to destroy the Suns, and they're going to get into foul trouble. So this is a long series, and that's how I'm going to try to play it.
All right, very good. You can get Raheem's plays in the 100 at theringer.com, the Ringer Gambling Podcast as well. Follow him on X at @IamRostradamus. That was awesome, Raheem. Thanks so much for the time. Good luck betting the playoffs.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate y'all.
Yep. Be good. He joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line.
Right. The Twitter handle.
You guys are in lockstep in a lot of that stuff, except for his prediction on the Mavericks.
Yeah. And I also think, too, what he's right about, and the reason why this is going to come back and burn me. Let's play this over and over again with a laugh track when it burns me. I'm trusting that what the Clippers are saying is true and that Kawhi Leonard is healthy.
You're better than that.
Trust me,
well,
I know.
You should be. You should be better than that.
I should be better than that.
Yeah.
A team that has actively lied about his name multiple times now.
Good luck, pal.
Yeah, he was questionable with a torn ACL.
We'll get into the Nuggets up next with Chris Dempsey, Altitude Sports in Denver. If the Lakers win tonight, do they give the Nuggets a better series than last year when they were swept? Let's follow the money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.